everybody. Welcome back to the Remote Online Notary Network. I'm Katherine Cabrera. I am an online commission notary in the state of Texas. I'm located in Brazos County. And today I have the lovely Betty Krachey. She is SmokyMountainNotary.com. The mountain's abbreviated to MTN. And Betty is an active remote online notary in the state of Tennessee. So Betty, thank you so much for agreeing to do this video interview with me. I'm really excited you're here because we have spoken on Clubhouse and Facebook and everything for years, but we've never actually had a conversation one-on-one like this, and we get to record it and share it with all the other online notaries. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let me start with the basic questions. We'll get warmed up, and then we'll get into really picking your brain for everything you know about how to be a successful online notary. So I already said you're a Tennessee notary, so we know that. But how did you get started as a notary?
I got started, it was back in 2015. A friend of mine that's a realtor, she wanted to know if I knew a notary to notarize some loan documents. And I knew a couple notaries, but none of them were available. And she was telling me how hard it was to find a notary. And so I got my notary commission to help her out. And I just mainly did it for her. And next thing I know, she's given more people my information. And probably in about a month, I was a full-time loan signing agent.
I can imagine. Well, like, hey, yeah. She'll answer the phone and she's competent. Let me give you her number.
Yeah, my first notary job was a loan closing.
And you've never seen one before?
Well, I have, because my ex was a realtor, so yeah, I've seen them before.
All right, well, that's good. So you had some insider knowledge, and you could just walk on and perform. That's great. Oh my gosh, I love that. And what year was that, 2015?
2015. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So you haven't been doing it for like 40 years, like we've heard some of these folks, but you're not green either. You are seasoned and you know what you're doing. All right, I love it. So when did you become an online notary? When did you become a RON?
March of 2020.
Isn't that funny? Right when the pandemic started. That's right when I did as well. My commission, I think it says April 2nd, 2020. Because we all saw the writing on the wall. People weren't going out. And so we said we've got to figure out this online notary business now, today, and make it work. Right. All right, great. So now what percentage of your work is online and what percentage is traditional notary loan signing in-person work?
Well, still most of my notary work is in person, but I'd say at least 25% of it is remote. In weekends, I mostly do all remote, online.
Okay, good. And then, so you've been doing this a while. What platforms have you tried to do the online work on?
I have done NotaryCam, Notarize, SignIx. What else have I done? Pavaso and Nexsys ClearSign.
Wow, so you have been across a lot of platforms. So do you have a favorite platform?
Probably SignIx.
Okay. And that's the one that you bring your own clients to, or is that one where people send you clients automatically?
Well, after you do, it's either 50 or 100. They'll put you on their website, and I have gotten a lot of clients from their website.
That's awesome. So when did that start to flow in? Because I know that all of that kind of came about and changed. I don't know how long ago, maybe a year ago. So you did, from your own clients, you did 50 or 100, and then SignIx had you on the directory on their own site. And then they started matching you with people, really, having you kind of on a directory.
Yes, they have a directory, and they have notaries who have passed they have like a certification who's answered their questions and shown that they can do a successful online notarization, and they'll list them on their website.
Okay, good. And then so on Pavaso, that's a site where I believe the title companies and businesses that use it, how does it work? They identify the notary they want, and then they send you the business through Pavaso, or how does that transpire?
Yes, it's for title companies, and that's their preferred platform. And so that's not my platform. I only do that for certain title companies.
Okay. So how do you get that kind of order? Is it like an escrow officer or a title officer just likes you and calls you, or is it an automatic email, or is there like an app?
Yes, in like Old Republic, they're underwriters. That's one of their platforms. So I use that platform for their closings.
Okay, good. All right, so you're on the
Like
inside.
at the title company, he has Old Republic for an underwriter. They prefer Pavaso or Notarize.
Got it. Okay, and you're on Notarize as well?
Yes.
Okay, good. So for Notarize, do you receive their orders or do you bring your own clients onto that platform?
Bring my own clients.
Oh, because you're lucky. And I think Tennessee is the pilot state for bring your own clients. I think it's Tennessee and one other state. Is it Washington?
I don't know.
I think so. And then, so those notaries can bring their own clients onto the Notarize platform and you can notarize your own folks. Okay, that's really cool. So you've got SignIx as a platform for your own clients and you've got Notarize. And then you've got title folks who like you and send you orders through Pavaso. And you also mentioned ClearSign. So how do the folks find you when you use the ClearSign platform?
Yeah, it's another one that the title company uses.
Okay.
So when I do it through Amrock or Rocket Mortgage, that they use Nexsys. And sometimes they use Pavaso.
It sounds like title companies really like you, Betty. Really, it sounds like you have formed relationships with title companies throughout the years because you've been an active loan signing agent, right? And just like when you very, very first started, they're sharing your information with other title folks who say, I don't know who to use for this. I need it done though. What do I do? Oh, just call Betty. Betty will get it closed. Betty will get it done. Is that about right?
Yeah, and plus there's like thousands of new notaries in Tennessee who have taken zero training, and just Friday, I don't want to even say how much they paid me, but the title company called me wanting to know if I could go clean up this other notary's mess. And I go, will the other notary not go back? And they said they don't even want to call him back.
Yeah.
So I don't know what all he messed up, but I had to go redo the whole package.
Oh my gosh. So that was a last minute ASAP. Please help us order. We're just throwing money at you to fix it.
Well, they got him through a signing service and they ended up calling me direct.
Oh, wow. They said, if we can't hire this out, we are going to have to do it ourselves with somebody we know and trust. Okay. So you are, what is that saying? It's, if you can't be a great role model, be a dire warning. So the notary who messed it all up, is the dire warning, and you are the role model we all need to emulate. And I think that you're a good example of when you are a competent, dependable, reliable, in-person loan signing agent, then you can escalate, extend, offer more services like you are with the online notarizations and grow that business too. So I think that we can all learn something from that to just have a great reputation in person, and you can grow it out to build your Ron business even further out from there.
Yes.
Okay, so we already talked about if you find your own clients or if a particular platform sends them to you. It sounds like a lot of title folks send you business. Yes. For your own clients, I know you have your website. So how much, or I don't know, how often do you get bookings from your own website or from another way that you directly market out for your online virtual notary services?
Well, every day, all day.
You won't believe how surprising that is for most online notaries. All right, talk us through it. What do you have feeding your website, or is it just a really popular website, or kind of give us the nitty gritty on that?
Well, I don't know if it's just my website. It's like word of mouth, and I'm doing a quitclaim deed for an attorney later today, and it's just somebody I've already worked for.
Okay, so you're getting referral and repeat business.
Yes.
And all right, so on your Smoky Mountain Notary website, I saw that you have where people can read about how the virtual online notarization goes. You've got some sample photos and things. I'll share that here in the video. When somebody books on your site, how does it work? Do you have like a booking option, or do you encourage them to call you first so you can discuss it before you do anything on the site?
I only book after I talk to them.
Okay.
They can email me, but I still want to talk to them.
Okay, good. So you find out about the forms, you find about all the signers and who's involved, if they have witnesses, etc.
Right.
Can you use virtual witnesses in Tennessee? Do you do that?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, cool. Interesting. We know about your website. Do you also use a Google My Business site?
I do.
All right, tell me about that. Did you start it after your website, at the same time? The reason I'm asking is that a lot of notaries don't know about the Google My Business websites. And like I find that my Google My Business website is actually a little bit ahead of my regular website traffic every month. So I want to impress upon everyone how important a Google My Business website is. How does yours look, and how did you start it, and when did you start it?
I don't remember if it was before or after my website. I've got several websites, not just for notary stuff. But
Okay.
I can tell when they call me, though, from my website because it'll make a beep, and I know they're calling from my Google My Business.
Got it.
I get lots of calls from Google My Business, mostly for general notary work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. General notary work seems to be what pops up on my Google My Business as well.
Yep.
A lot of times someone who's looking locally, and then they notice they can do it online, and then that turns them into an online notarization. All right. So you've been doing this a while. Do you have tips? What tips do you have that you wish someone had told you when you very, very first got started? What tips do you have to share with other aspiring online notaries?
Well, for Ron,
Yes.
if you get a platform, you want to find out. One thing I don't like about SignIx is you have to pay for, if they don't pass the KBA, which a lot of times they don't, you have to pay for the KBA. So I've gotten to where I let the client know if they don't pass the KBA, I'm going to keep that portion of their money and I'll refund the rest.
Okay.
And sometimes if it's a lot of documents, I also charge them for having to tag the documents.
Right. All right. So what Betty is talking about with the KBA is knowledge-based authentication. Basically, it's the 5-question quiz. And almost every state has a KBA requirement that the signers have to pass this 5-question quiz, meaning they get 4 out of 5 correct of the quiz. All the questions come from information that's attached to that person's social security number. So it's things like, what is your former address on Westcott Street? What's the make and model of your 2017 vehicle? Things like that, and they're multiple choice. And then after that, their ID credential is validated, so their license or passport or whatever they're using is validated through a third-party company. And then the third layer is that the notary looks at the person and matches them to the photo ID. So there's 3 layers in online notarization, and Betty's talking about that 5-question quiz. And a lot of platforms charge the notary for whether the person who's about to sign documents passes it or not. So it can become pricey, a heavy expense for notaries who have several people in a day fail the KBA. Let's say, for example, that it's costing you $10. Well, it's kind of tough to eat 3 failed KBAs a day. That's $30 a day. And then the people can try again in 24 hours, but there's no guarantee they're going to pass in 24 hours. You might be out the money again tomorrow. They may never pass the KBA. You may never be able to successfully notarize that document with them and recoup the cost. So what Betty's mentioning about this is that she lets them know, hey, it's your responsibility to pass this KBA. If you can't pass it, I can't lose money with you. I'm going to retain that portion, that let's just call it $10, hypothetically, and then I will return the rest of yours to you because the service wasn't performed. So that's how she handles this. Everybody handles it a different way, and I don't know of any state laws that prohibit that, but I also don't know of any state laws that expressly speak about that cost. So that's something you're going to have to check with your own state secretaries of state if you've got questions about that, because I don't know, and I'm not an attorney and I cannot provide legal advice, and neither is Betty. We're notaries out there in the wild. All right, perfect. Thank you, Betty, so much. Yeah, so her tip is to know about the KBA and the costs involved. All right, so would you be willing to share any other marketing tips that might not have been something we already spoke about? Do you have any marketing tips that other people should employ?
I post on LinkedIn once in a while, like I do, and plus I do a lot of work for investors. And like I can do 3 seller package in one location, take those and then do the buyer package for those 3 seller packages at another location. So I'm doing 6 packages at only 2 locations.
For
and
one
I do
investor contact.
Yes. And so I have started doing more like seller packages for investors. And I market to investors in my area and in other places. And I have a lot of people moving here from California. So there's a Facebook group for people moving to Tennessee from California. And the lady who owns the Facebook group, she tells people about me also. She's a realtor here in Tennessee.
That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. The power of Facebook groups is unprecedented. You get thousands of people in one place with common concerns or goals. And if you can kind of infiltrate that and become their go-to to solve a common problem, you're in a great position. We've got the same situation here, Betty, in Texas. People kind of say California.
Yeah, Texas is the number one state people are moving to.
Well, I was one of the first ones because I came here from California back in 2009. It was with the financial collapse of the real estate industry. And so I came running over here to find work because I couldn't find any in California. And I had been working for new home builders, and I came here and I worked for new home builders. But I called us California refugees. Yep. And I tell you what, not much has changed. More and more and more keep coming over here as well. And it sounds like I hadn't even thought about it in other states, but of course, I can see people selling their California home and going to Tennessee and living like kings.
Right. And so they're paying cash for houses they're buying here. So I can do their cash purchase online. And that way they've got the house. And there's so many people now making offers on houses and they're missing them. They're sold. Yep. And I also go out and I take pictures of houses for people in California.
Really?
Yep.
How did that transpire? What do you mean?
They can't get here to look at houses quick enough before they're sold. So if they find a house they want, I'll go out and I'll get pictures. I also do this for investors in other states too. I go out and I take pictures and videos of the home and I try to get like areas around it so they can see what the neighborhood's like, and I just email them back to them.
Oh, wow, that is so interesting. So you're kind of like an unbiased third party who says, yes, I will show up at that location, I'll take the photos, and I'll send them to you, and whatever you decide to do, you decided to do.
Right, and I take pictures for realtors too, and then if the house sells, they give me a really good bonus.
That's nice. Okay, yeah. I want to kind of flip back to something you said about, because they're cash purchases, you can sign the documents online. Yes. So I want to clarify what Betty means with that, because there's a reason that in online notarization, sellers packages are really common for independent notaries like us to get the work and do on our individual platforms. Like you use SignIx and I use a couple of different platforms, but there's a reason, and that's because there's no loan involved. So when she mentions that the purchase documents, because it's a cash purchase, could be done online, it's because there's no lender involved to get upset, to say, I'm worried about the validity of this online notarization. It's completely, in these cases, up to the title companies and their underwriters. That if they're satisfied with the quality of the remote online notarization, the finalized documents that come back, that the digital certificate looks good, that the notary's e-seal looks good, that they know the notary and respect and trust her. So purchases that are cash, meaning there's no loan and there's no lender to get upset, and the sales of houses where there's no lender because they sold, they're going to receive funds at the end, hopefully, then those are easier targets to win that online notarization business, because you just don't have that piece of the puzzle where the lender is concerned. And lenders are so concerned, not really so much because they don't trust the process. Lenders are very well versed in how online notarization works and all of the security checks and the video and everything like that. What the lender's worried about is that they won't be able to sell that loan to someone else on the secondary mortgage market. And if you can't sell a loan, you could be sitting there with it for 30 years until somebody decides to pay it off. So because of that, lenders are extremely, extremely cautious and careful before they use an independent notary, just from our independent websites. They'll use a lot of their own, like what she's described with Pavaso and those other vault-based sort of online notarization platforms that cater directly to the title company industry. Is there a product or a helpful business that you've come across that you want to speak about? I wanted to give you the opportunity to do that. So is there anything else you'd like to share about while we're here on the interview?
Well, when I first got into the remote online notarizations, I used to watch your videos and Kendra's, and then NotaryCam really helped me out a lot with their training.
Okay, so when did you, and full disclosure, I have applied with NotaryCam for 2 years and have never heard a peep from them, so they don't want me, I guess, but I'm going to keep applying with them. So tell me about like your NotaryCam onboarding and how the training worked there. I've heard a little bit about it, that it lasted like a week. Tell us how it worked.
It was 8 hours worth of training. It was over 8 hours worth of training because it's for a couple hours, I think for like four nights. And then if you can't get it, they'll still help you live, like via Zoom.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. So do you have any final words of wisdom to share with the other online notaries who are watching Remote Online Notary Network?
I guess before you buy a platform or pay for a platform, I would look into it first.
Okay.
It's like tagging the documents and people not getting through the KBA, not knowing how to work their own equipment. It gets frustrating. Sometimes online is more stressful than in person.
Yeah, that's valid. That's very true. So you're advising new notaries to definitely research the platforms that are out there.
It's not as easy as they think sometimes.
Yeah, it's not. And like, so when I very first became an online notary, I went with pretty much the only platform that was out there. I won't even name it. Paid a lot of money, and then there were a lot of fees that had not been disclosed early on that I ended up paying along the way as well. But
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Yeah, the good thing is that it was, even though I paid for an annual pass, it was credit based, and I used all my credits. I didn't use all my KBA funds that I had paid in, but I used all my credits because I had business right off the bat. I was doing packages for a property tax loan company. So at least I got to kind of max it out. For me to keep moving forward that year, I would have had to spend more. And by that point, other platforms were coming out. So,
I got a tip. I just remembered this. Surveyors. I do quite a bit of work for surveyors.
Yes.
And I also, they like the way the surveys look so much better done online remotely than having me take the land plats to job sites and getting different people sign and notarize them. That whenever they have a land plat, now I do this for the county also, they email me the land plat in PDF form, so I have it on my tablet. I will take either my laptop or my tablet, and I go to the job sites and I do them in person, but it's all done remotely. Then when we get all the signatures and all the notarizations done, I can email them the land plat.
oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I bet those are, well, they made it PDF, but I was going to say, make sure that you can upload something of that file size on your platform, but since they're making it PDF, they're compressing it.
Yeah, it's just one page, but it is big, like, and I can move it around on the tablet or my computer to where I can zoom into their signature, and then I ID them and everything in person, and then they just sign on my tablet.
I love that. That's awesome. And I don't know if you ever saw, I have a previous video where I mentioned my best online notarization session ever. He's a surveyor, and he had over 100 lien waivers he needed to notarize. He was working for a really large company, and a lot of the work I think had been up in Oklahoma, but he needed to notarize all these lien waivers. It was him notarizing it because the company wanted him to release any claims that they still owed him money for surveying services. It was crazy, but it was such a lengthy thing that we did the first half of it, then we broke for lunch for an hour, then we came back and did the second half. So we had 2 sessions. We had 2 sessions just because I couldn't handle like 4 hours of going through all these in one shot. So anyway, yes, surveyors and landmen. Do you ever get landmen who contact you for mineral deeds,
No.
royalty leases? Okay, I think that's a little heavier in the Texas and Oklahoma tract because there's so much mineral activity here where people are leasing whatever rights that they have. So, but I'm sure, I mean, it's got to be in every state. There's definitely not any state that doesn't have minerals stuff going on, but I think that there's probably just a really high volume of work in the heavy oil and gas states. So that's my other advice is landmen. If you can mention landmen on your websites, it's going to be helpful because they're not used to being mentioned.
Another one I've had is like somebody who was the president of HOA, Homeowners Association, and they need to vote on something and get enough signatures for the vote to pass. I've taken my tablet and had them sign everything online, but I'm there with them in person.
Okay, got it. That's brilliant. Oh my gosh.
And that was a really good job.
I love it. Billing the HOA. I really appreciate you taking the time to come online here with us today and do this interview. You are phenomenal, and we're all learning from you. So thank you so much, Betty, Smoky Mountain Notary in Knoxville, Tennessee, right?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. She is now your referral for whenever you have something you need to refer to Knoxville, Tennessee, and online notary as well. Thank you so much, Betty. And everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Catherine.